Alright, and welcome. So we're going to be doing the next section of this, which is adding the ring up here in the top. We want to add a ring to this because we're going to eventually, well, if we were to use this in a model, we would want to attach a chain to that ring. So of course, just like we did with the donut tutorial, we're going to go up here into object mode, get into a new object, so that we do not see... We want to deselect our object so that we do not see any of the lines or any yellow lines. So if I'm in edit mode, you're going to be able to see the edges of this object. We don't want that. We want to be in object mode so that we can no longer see the edges. And we're going to go up to Add, Mesh, and Torus. Alternatively, you can press Shift A on the keyboard, go to Mesh, and Torus. That's going to create a torus down here in the bottom of our screen. We don't need to change any of the settings on our torus. It should be the same as last time, but in case it's not the same on your computer, my torus right now is 48, 12, 125. You can use those settings, or you can use some other settings. That is entirely up to you. We're going to go to the Move tool, and we're just going to drag this torus up. There we go. We'll drag the torus up to the top of our anchor. Now I'm going to use the Rotate tool, and I'm going to rotate this torus. Now, just like we can fine-tune the settings of creating an object here, we can also fine-tune the settings of doing an action. So if I rotate here by any amount, you're going to see that this little black box down here changes to rotate. Now, as long as I don't click anything else, I can click on this rotate, and I can actually fine-tune what this is doing. I can say, I only want to change by 90 degrees on the x-axis. What that's going to do is it's going to only change this by 90 degrees. It's not going to do anything else. And so what we can see is now that that piece of the anchor is straight up and down. Now I'm going to move this up. Okay, that looks good. However, I think I'm going to scale it a little bit. Alright, that looks pretty good. Looking good to our concept? I think so. I'm just using the scale and move tools to get it into a position that I feel looks good to our concept. Alright, so we've got the top of our anchor done. Make sure yours is in a good position so that looking at it from this view, it kind of sort of resembles the concept that you can find in Canvas. Or that it kind of resembles the concept that you can find in the link in the description. Alright, so next up, make sure you have it, if you look at it from this view, make sure you have it so that it aligns pretty well with our concept. And if we look at our concept, that loop is kind of narrow and elongated. It's not perfectly circular. That could be an error on the part of the artist, or it could be a stylistic element. So whenever we create our video game, you're going to want to make sure to ask the concept art team if they intended an element like this to have an oblong shape, or if they intended it to be perfectly circular. In this case, I'm going to say they probably intended it to have an oblong shape. So what we're going to do is give it that oblong shape. So we're going to go to Scale, and just distort from the x-axis. There we go. Now that has the oblong shape that we were given. Now, if we look at this, that torus doesn't quite have the same thickness as the torus on our concept. So we're going to need to go back and make a change. I'm going to delete this torus and add mesh torus. Now, I need to increase the thickness of my torus. To increase the thickness, I need to increase the minor radius by just a little bit. I'm going to go up to 0.4. And that should be all I need to do. I'm going to move it back up. Okay, that looks pretty good. I think still I'm not quite 100%, but for the purposes of this assignment, I'm going to call that good. Okay, so there's my torus at the top. It looks a little bit hardy and heavy, but you know what? That's fine. I think I liked my other torus better, so I'm going to hit Control Z. Alright, so I've got my torus, and it looks proper. Alright, so I've got my torus, and it looks proper. It looks the way that I want it to look. The next part of this tutorial is going to be about creating the arms. So I will see you in that section.